I thought it was just grease, spilled from the render. The fat will run, you know, when the heat gets high enough. It'll run down the sides of the iron and pool on the floor. And the whole room smells like something trying to be forgotten. But the grease is whispering my name. It's got my mother's voice. And she's been in the ground 10 years. Now, come close and stay quiet. This ain't a story for shouting. Never was. The mountains don't reward loud people. Never have. They swallow 'em up mostly. Swallow the noise and keep the silence. And the silence down here in the hollows, it's got a weight to it, a texture, like lye on the back of your hand. You ever touched raw lye? The kind that ain't been diluted yet, before it meets the water and the tallow and becomes something useful? Burns. Slow. Doesn't hurt right away. That's the trick of it. Feels almost cool at first, and then it finds you. That's what this place is like. That's what Mirk-Water Creek is like. I want to tell you about a man named Elias Dowd, 43 years old in the fall of 1987. A county estate surveyor out of Harlan. Not from here. That part matters. He came in from outside the holler, and the holler knew it. The trees knew it. The bleached white trees along the creek bank, they knew it most of all. Mirk-Water Creek doesn't run blue or brown like a proper creek. The water there comes down off the ridge carrying something. Mineral runoff, the old-timers say, though nobody's ever agreed on what mineral exactly. What it does is bleach. The bark on every tree within 40 feet of the bank goes white as a clean sheet. White as bone left in the sun. You walk along that creek, and it feels like something has already stripped the world down, already cleaned it of color, already taken something away. The deed records called it Lye-Stained hollow, and Elias had the file right there in his leather case, clipped neat, typed on a county form in 1986. The subject of the estate, one Nora Callow, known locally as Mother Callow. Occupation on record, soap maker. Now, the soap. You need to understand what clean slate soap was before I tell you what it became. Up in these mountains, in the creases between ridges where the sun don't reach full day, and the winters press down long and hard and cold, people see things, have always seen things. Something in the bark at the tree line, a shape in the mine mouth that moves against the direction of your lantern light, a face in the frost on the window glass that ain't your face. You know the kind of thing. The kind of thing that the reasonable part of your mind says was nothing, was just the dark playing tricks, was just exhaustion and grief and too many nights alone. But the mountain part of your mind, the old part, the part that knows better than to walk the ridge at dusk, that part files it away and keeps it. And it keeps it. And it turns it over and over. And it grows. Mother Callow understood this. Her grandmother had started it, they said. The recipe for clean slate soap wasn't written down anywhere Elias could find. Not at first. It lived in the hands, in the memory of the hands. You rendered the fat, hog fat mostly, sometimes bear, and you ran your lye water through wood ash, hardwood ash, hickory if you could get it. And somewhere in the boiling, somewhere in the long, slow stir, you put in what you needed gone. Not physically, not like a talisman or a root bundle. You just said it over the vat, whispered what you'd seen into the steam, and the steam took it. And the fat took it, and the lye bound it there, fixed it like a preservative, like pickling, and then you rendered it down into bars, yellow-white and dense, faintly sweet from the tallow, and you gave it to whoever needed it, and they washed with it. And the memory went thin, went gauzy, like a dream by mid-morning, just clean. People came from 2-3 ridges over, paid in what they had, a dressed hog, a gallon of sorghum, a winter's worth of firewood stacked against the soap shack. Elias found the ledger. That was the second thing he found, after the vat. The first thing he found was that the vat was still simmering. He'd driven the county road out to Mirk-Water on a Tuesday in October. Trees were going, red and gold and a rust brown that looked, in that flat gray light, almost like old blood. The gravel ran out about a half-mile from the property line, and from there it was a 2-track through second-growth timber. And Elias drove it slow with the windows down because the smell was already present. Wood smoke, lye, and beneath it something animal, something rendered down and hot. The cabin was set back from the creek, small, well kept actually, despite the county record suggesting Nora Callow had passed in mid-September. 6 weeks the place had sat. A neighbor, name of Prater, lives up the next hollow, had been checking in, had found her, had called it in. But nobody had touched the soap shack. Elias noticed the smoke first, just a thin thread of it rising from the stovepipe at the back of the shack. He thought ember, thought a coal that hadn't died. 6 weeks is a long time, but an iron vat holds heat different from a hearth. Iron remembers. He pushed open the door. The heat came out at him like a hand pressed flat against his face. Not painful, dense. And the smell. The smell was like walking into something. Like the air itself had a body. The vat was enormous. Cast iron, black with decades of use, sitting on a stone hearth that had been built around it like the shack was constructed for the vat specifically, which Elias later decided it had been. 4 feet across, maybe deeper than it looked. The surface of whatever was in it, and it wasn't quite liquid, wasn't quite solid, some long cooked stage between the two, moved. Not with a boil, with a slow, patient circulation, turning over on itself, like something breathing. Elias stood in the doorway a long time, the rational mind working. Ember, he thought again. Old fire, slow combustion. The vat had just never fully cooled. He found the ledger on the shelf above the workbench. He should have left it there. The ledger was ordinary enough on the outside. Brown cloth cover, water-stained at the corner. Inside, Nora Callow's handwriting. Small, careful, slightly left-leaning. Filled page after page in columns. A date, a name, a description, and then in the final column a single word or phrase. Trade given. Elias read the first few entries the way you'd read any record, professionally, dispassionately. March 3rd, 1974. Clyde Pettis. Sound heard in number 7 shaft after the men were out. Like singing, but wrong. 2 bars rendered. 1 bar salt cure. August 19th, 1977. Dora Prater. Face seen at tree line. 3 nights running. White face, black eyes, no mouth. Won't stop standing. 3 bars rendered. 2 bars salt cure. January 2nd, 1981. The Hensley boys. All 4. What they found in the frozen creek. What was under the ice. What it was doing. They couldn't say, even to me. I boiled it off them without the telling. 6 bars. Kept none back for cure. Elias turned the pages slowly. The trades recorded in that last column were eggs, salt pork, canned beans, a tin of coffee, a wool blanket, firewood, twice whiskey, once, and this is the entry that stopped his hand, simply the word company. Company. From an old woman living alone in a hollow with bleached trees and a vat that never went cold. He closed the ledger. He should have walked out. He'd seen enough to write the estate report. Contents of property: one structure, one iron vat, one workbench, one ledger of accounts, various tools of trade. But the smell had changed. The wood smoke was still there. The lye was still there. But under it now was something else. Something that the deep animal part of Elias Dowd's brain recognized before the thinking part did. It smelled like a person. Not like death, not rot, not decay. Like a living person. Like the warm salt of someone standing close in a small room. And the vat made a sound, slower now, more deliberate. And Elias stood at the workbench with the ledger in his hands and listened, and the sound was almost rhythmic, in a way that language is rhythmic, in a way that words, strung together in a row, make rhythm when someone speaks them low and slow and soft. He thought, I am tired. I drove 3 hours. It is a sound an old iron vat makes when it cools unevenly. He picked up the paddle that leaned against the hearthstone, long-handled, black with use, the wood dense and dark as if it had absorbed years of steam. He stirred, the way you'd stir anything you were responsible for, the way you'd tend to a task. And the sound the vat made, the voice he'd almost heard, came clearer. Not his name, not yet. A name he knew, his mother's name. Here's what Elias understood. Standing in that shack with a paddle in his hands and the heat pressing in around him, and the white trees pale as candles through the single small window. The soap didn't destroy memories. It couldn't. Nothing destroys a memory, not truly. You can suppress it. You can bury it under years of ordinary days. Pile the unremarkable on top of it until it can't push through. But the thing that was seen, the face at the tree line, the wrong sound in the shaft, the something under the ice, those things happened. They are fixed in the fabric of what happened, the way a stain is fixed in cloth. What the boiling did was concentrate. Every memory whispered into that steam had gone into the tallow, had been rendered down with the fat, had been fixed by the lye into the soap's structure the same way lye fixes color into fiber, makes it permanent. And when the soap was used, When it was lathered and applied and rinsed away, the memory didn't go down the drain. The person's hold on the memory loosened, became bearable, became survivable. But the memory itself went back. It went back to the vat. 40 years. 40 years of the mountain's worst-kept moments, of the things that shouldn't be seen, of the wrong faces and the wrong sounds and the wrong shapes under ice. All of it returned, faithfully, to the iron vat in the soap shack, rendered down, concentrated, building and building and building in that slow, patient, circulating mass. Nora Callow had understood this. Elias found the proof of it in the back pages of the ledger, where her handwriting grew shakier, more cramped, written, he thought, in the last months of her life. The long boil cannot be stopped once begun. To stop the heat is not to stop the working. To stop the working is not to stop the knowing. The tallow knows. The tallow has always known. I have been tending it longer than I should have. I have been putting in more than I take out. I think I have fed it enough. I think I have fed it too much. The last entry in the ledger was dated 3 days before she died. It read only, "It has started to call out. I will not answer. I will not stir it. Do not stir it." Elias had already stirred it. He felt the resistance before he understood what it was. The paddle had struck something solid beneath the surface. Not the iron bottom. He knew the feeling of iron, the hard ring of it. This was different. Dense and yielding at once. The way very firm clay yields when you press it. Or the way a word yields when you finally say the thing you've been not saying for years. He pressed down. The voice from the vat said his mother's name again. And then it said something else. Something older. Something that hadn't been put in by any of the Hensley boys or Dora Prater or Clyde Pettis. Something that had been here before the shack was built around the vat. Before the vat was cast. Before anyone in Lye-Stained Hollow thought to render memory the way you render fat. The mountain's own memory. Rising up through 40 years of accumulated grief and fear and quiet and shame. Rising up through all the things the good people of Mirk-Water Creek had tried to wash away. Rising because they had fed it. Because every fear whispered into that steam was a thing acknowledged. Every memory traded was a thing confirmed. And the thing in the hollow, the old thing, the thing with no name in the ledger because Nora Callow had the good sense never to write it down, had been listening to every word and growing. Elias let go of the paddle. He left it standing upright in the vat, the way you leave a spoon in porridge. He walked out of the shack, He walked to his car. He drove back down the 2-track to the gravel road and then to the county road. And he drove 3 hours back to Harlan. And he filed his report the next morning. Contents of property: 1 structure, 1 iron vat not in usable condition, 1 workbench, various tools of trade, condition poor, ledger of accounts, lost in transit. He did not describe what he heard. He did not write down his mother's name. Whether that was wisdom or cowardice, I have never been able to say. Maybe it is the same thing up here in the mountains. The county condemned the property in the spring. The shack was demolished. The vat was too heavy to move. 4 men couldn't shift it. And so they filled in the soap shack foundation around it and poured concrete over the top. And someone planted grass seed over the concrete. And by summer you couldn't tell it from the yard. The grass over that patch never grew right. Too white. Now, you rest easy. The night's come up full around us, and there ain't nothing moving in the trees that wasn't already there. The creek's running quiet, somewhere off in the dark, the way it always does, the way it always will. I want you to think on this as you go down to sleep. The mountain doesn't hate you for seeing what you've seen. It doesn't mean you any particular harm. It's only that it's old. Older than the names we put on it. Older than the fear we carry up and down its ridges. And it has been listening. Patient as iron. Patient as lye. Patient as the fat that renders slow in the dark. Don't try to wash it away. Some things ain't meant to come clean. Stay off the ridge roads after sundown. Don't follow sounds into the tree line. Don't stir what's been sitting still. And if you ever come across a bar of soap left on a doorstep, pale yellow, dense, faintly sweet-smelling, leave it right where it sits. This has been Case File 091, Mirk-Water Creek, Lye-Stained hollow. Sleep well now.